Bachelorette party stories that ended up ruining marriages. First story. I cheated on my husband to be at my bachelorette party. Do I tell him before I marry him or lock it away? I've always been a loyal girlfriend prior to this event. My girlfriends organized a weekend in Chicago, seeing as my other half was spending his bachelor party in Vegas. The weekend started off very nicely. We had a spa hotel, which we treated ourselves to nice massages, facials, and so on. At night, we would go out and enjoy ourselves as girls do. There were around 15 of us with no family except my cousin. Never did I know the girls had chipped in to hire out a room in a good nightclub. We received all the VIP treatments. The night was going well, and of course, the girls booked male dancers. I really didn't mind. There were 3 of them, and I have to admit, they were pretty hot at first sight. I was of course getting all the attention, which concluded with them inappropriately touching me and waving their things around in my face. A few of the girls got a little handsy with them, which egged them on. One of the dancers saw me as a target or something and was smothering me the entire night. He then decided to get extremely handsy. Suddenly, the girls wooed, and I felt it was right to let him continue. I was a little drunk and peer pressured, but I continued to handle it. Things got carried away. He then repeated to kiss me, so I did, which furthered with him putting his thing in my mouth. It felt harmless, so I ended up giving him a BJ. In the morning, there was a silence in my presence, and the girls were acting strange. My cousin came up to me and asked whether I sucked the guy off, which I quietly replied to, saying yes. She gasped and told me I was getting married. I told her I thought it was what you're supposed to do. From that moment, all I feel is guilt. But my question is whether I should tell my husband. I'm sure it will get out, but just in case it never did, should I or not? I'm not going to be a jerk here. I'm going to give you some advice. You went out for your bachelorette party and did something regretful and quite unfair to your fiancé and very soon to be husband. Several other women saw or know it, and they are all closely related to you. That's a great chance that this will slip out in the future and cause a problem. Be honest. Whether or not you really felt it was appropriate to get involved with any guy on a sexual level before your wedding is on you, but your future husband deserves to know. You can play the drunk card and being taken advantage of if that's what you feel happened, or you can be honest and tell him that you thought you were supposed to get sloppy with the dancer during your bachelorette party. Let him decide what he wants to do. If he loves you, then he will probably want to work it out and sweep it under the rug, but it will definitely put a damper on your life as a newlywed. The next story. I saw my friend cheat on her fiancé at her bachelorette party. What do I do? At my friend's bachelorette party, she slept with an old friend in our hotel room. We went to Vegas for the bachelorette, and when we walked back to the hotel, she met up with a dude she used to know from her hometown. To my knowledge, they never hooked up before. She was beyond drunk. All of us were. I shared a hotel room with her. I told the guy to leave, but he kept following us and talking to my friend. At one point, she had her arm around him, and we walked into the hotel. "This is my friend," she kept saying to me. I was so tired that I just walked into the room and lay on the couch. I hear a lot of noise from the bathroom, and when I go look, it's my friend who is getting married. And her old friend, they are showering. I threw out some bad words and asked what the F she was doing. "Oops, you have to go," she says to him, and I thought she kicked him out. So I change and go to bed. I was extremely drunk as well. I wake up after, I think, 30 minutes to see them going at it in the bed next to me. I freak out and scream, "What the heck? Get the hell out, she's getting married." He stands up, pulls up his pants, and just walks out of the room like nothing happened. My friend, on the other hand, was just laying there with a naughty grin on her face, like she stole some cookies. I don't know how long they were going at it and why it didn't wake me up sooner. I'd already started dreaming. Now it's getting close to the wedding day, and she won't return my calls or texts. Do I just straight up tell the groom? It's important to note that he was not wearing any protection, which I saw when he stood up. I would definitely tell the groom. All it takes is being a little drunk to get her to cheat. That is not an excuse. Even when my girlfriend is really drunk, she is fully aware of the moral boundaries. Drunkenly dance with her girlfriends? Sure, that's harmless. Kissing one of them? Or God forbid, touch another man while she has a dotting boyfriend who gives her everything? Absolutely not. You were drunk too, and you clearly knew she was doing something awful. Perhaps, if you don't know how to tell the groom, you can talk to one of your other girlfriends who knows the bride. That way, if you break the news, you have someone backing you up. Yes, you may very well lose the bride's friendship, and possibly even the groom's, if he's the kind to take it out on the messenger. But you know what? When I envision myself in this position, and if it was my closest, dearest friend who was this bride, I would still tell the groom. I would be so disgusted by her behavior that losing her friendship would not prevent me from doing so, because I could not stomach keeping a person like that in my life anyways. Update: she told him. Now, this just happened, and she didn't tell me yet what is going to happen next. I assume he would cancel the wedding. but I will let you guys know when I hear the news. Second update. The groom canceled the wedding about a week after the confession. The next story. 2 months on, trying to forgive and forget. More difficult than I thought possible. I'm 25 male, in a 5-year-long relationship with my girlfriend, 26 female. We were going fine until a major upset about 2 months ago. To cut a long story short, she cheated on me at a bachelorette party, was caught on camera, but lied about it to me after the fact. Until about 2 weeks ago, we hadn't talked much since, other to have screaming rows. Now, we are trying to give it a try again. We had talked about marriage and children, so this isn't a relationship we want to give up so easily. I'm having trouble even beginning to move on from this. Every time I look at her now, as well as the sweet girl I fell in love with, I see the despicable images of what she did at that bachelorette party. Every time I ask her a question, I find myself wondering if she's telling the truth, or lying like she did previously. I'd like to seek for advice on how to forgive the cheating, and how to build back the trust lost through her lying to my face. We're both going to be looking through the comments from this to see how might be the best way to move forward. I frankly don't see a future here. She betrayed your trust on a grand scale, betrayed you again by lying about the event, and then, when confronted, failed utterly to take responsibility for her actions. I know it's hard to give up a relationship into which you poured so much time and effort, and I know that this can influence one to stick around despite one's better judgment to the contrary. I'd like to address some interesting wording of yours, namely your claim that you don't want to give up your relationship so easily. I'm not sure you're taking her offense as seriously as you should. Breaking up over a difference of agenda or over a big fight is perhaps giving up too easily. Your partner's tremendous dishonesty and massive breach of your trust, on the other hand, is a rather serious thing. She screwed up very, very badly, and in my opinion, she doesn't deserve a second chance. But for the pursuit of your suspicions, she may very well have gotten away with being unfaithful, and you may very well have lived a long time together with her lying to you by omission every single day of it. I advise that you give the matter some serious thought, as I think that in your understandable resistance to making such a tough decision as ending this relationship, you're allowing yourself to be walked on in a way that you'll come to regret. Good luck either way, and remember to keep the welfare of number one, that's you, in mind. Next story. I saw something I shouldn't have. My wife and I have been together for almost 20 years, married for half of that. We have always had a relationship built on trust, and I have never been the jealous type at all. We have had an understanding that as responsible adults, we can have our own friends, go to a bar, etc., without fear of judgment. I know that being together that long means occasionally being attracted to another person, but I have never and would never act upon those feelings. Of course, I have the same expectations of my partner. Last night, I was helping her set up a new smartwatch that wasn't receiving notifications like it should. She was tired and had to go to work this morning, so she asked if I would stay up and work on it. It's time for her to get a new phone soon, as this one has just started freezing up a lot and having battery problems. While I was working on getting the text notifications to go through, I realized that there are 2 default messaging apps that came with her phone. I suspected that this was the cause, so I opened up the unused app to figure out if there were problems with the permissions. Her phone froze up again, so I tapped the screen a few times out of frustration, and a text conversation popped up. I had no intention of looking at any text messages, but what I saw stopped my heart. There was a conversation on the screen that she had with a guy she met last weekend. She had told me she met up with a bachelorette party, and they invited her along. She was out until 7 a.m. The messages started off the following morning with him saying, "Hey beautiful," and them talking about their hangovers. He then said that he wanted to see her again, and she said she would like that as well. We had plans later this week, and she lied to him and said she was busy doing something unrelated to what she had planned, and did not mention me at all. He told her what his days off were, and she said she could make those her days off as well. In a panic, I exited the conversation and found another conversation with another guy talking about how he knew how stimulated she was, and the last guy he brought was selfish. I stopped reading and put her phone down. She went to work this morning and will be home later today. I am beside myself with feelings of hurt and betrayal. I have to talk with her when she gets home, but I don't know where to start. Am I reading too much into these conversations, or is my gut feeling correct? How do I bring this up? As I sit here, I'm thinking of all the possible red flags I've noticed over the last few months, and I'm overwhelmed with shame and regret. Please help. Use the things you know to get her to spill on the things you don't. My discovery with my ex-wife took weeks, though I didn't give up what I knew and kept my cards as close to my chest as possible. I was emotionally ripped apart by what I learned, as I bet you will be as well. Stay strong. This is going to be one of the hardest things you will ever have gone through. Worth noting, though, that in some states, adultery is actually illegal, and if you have evidence of cheating, you can pretty much burn her in divorce court. If you are in a one-party consent to record state, and also in a state where adultery is allowed as a cause for divorce, You might want to consider recording the conversation, but I found that to be not needed in any way. You will survive and even come out better than when you started if you work towards it. I had to rotate through a couple therapists to find one who worked for me. Don't be afraid to change if you don't like who you try out. Next story. An interesting bachelorette party that went horribly wrong. I was the best man for a buddy. We did an interesting bachelorette party. We all got together in the afternoon for a barbecue at the beach, then separated to go our own separate ways. Then after a night of partying, we all met at the same hotel, as we had a large suite. Over lunch, we made the decision that the only people that should have their cell phones on them is the best man and the maid of honor. This would ensure that there would be no talking between the parties, but we could still get in contact if there was an emergency. It was around 10:30 and I got a text from the maid of honor that they were sending a couple girls back to the hotel because one of them was sick. I replied back with, "Okay, we just got to the strip club," as a joke. The groom and I knew that there was an agreement with the bride that there will be no strip clubs. Apparently, this was not okay with the bride, as I did not know that one of his former partners was a stripper. She made the connection that the groom was getting laid by the former partner. Once again, we were nowhere near the strip club. We got back to the hotel around 3 a.m., with all the girls pissed off. I mean, smoke coming out of the ears pissed off. They took this as a cue to begin the battle royale. By 3:30, we had all been kicked out of the hotel and talking with the police about why I had a black eye. I still get a chuckle when I see their wedding pictures, and there I am with a black eye. I even have a picture with just the bride and I, where she is pretending to punch me. She has since forgiven me for the time I told her that her husband was cheating on her with a stripper. At least you were a good sport about it. Also, sounds like a sitcom episode. I like the idea of that kind of bachelorette party though. And finally, the last story. Am I overreacting? Little backstory. The bride is not a great friend of mine, and the maid of honor I knew before dating my current boyfriend. My boyfriend is the best man, and is best friends with both of these girls' significant others. The bachelorette party was planned for Vegas, and the first night we had a lot of fun. The second night got out of hand in my opinion. We were at a club and met a group of young men, probably 21 and 22. Most of the women in the bachelorette party ranged from 25 to 28 years, and of the 7 that attended, only 1 was single. The maid of honor latched on to the one particular guy in the group, and they were grinding on each other all night, even holding hands. The bride was dancing with all of the guys, and they were grabbing her butt, and I didn't see it firsthand, but others in the group said she was kissing their necks. After this club, we got a limo with the guys to another club. Maid of honor proceeded to give a certain guy in particular a lap dance. At the second club, they danced together all night. I'd had enough of this and decided to leave back to our suite at 3 a.m. By 3:45, I get a text saying they are bringing this group of 8 21-year-old guys on spring break back to our room. By morning, there were misunderstandings about who and who didn't make moves on certain people. But what did they expect when bringing guys back to our room? This is where I really thought things crossed the line, and I ended up leaving Vegas early. I did not want to put myself in a bad position any longer. I feel there is a huge double standard for the bachelor and bachelorette parties. The men were very transparent with their party and what they did. They did not get a stripper because they felt it was disrespectful, while on the other hand, the girls got to go all out. Thoughts on what other people think of this situation? Am I overreacting? Regardless of whether you overreacted or not, reach out to your significant other and at the very least, tell him you left early because you are uncomfortable. If there's already blowback from the rest of the group, it's not going to be long before they start projecting their actions on you to cover their own asses. Instead of Karen grinding on a college frat bro, it becomes you sleeping with a random pill-popping crackhead. That's definitely not normal behavior for a bachelorette party. Stag parties aren't a free pass to cheat on your partner, no matter the gender. There you have it, guys. As always, thank you for making it till the end. See you on the next video.